Welcome to the Marks On Commentary Play-by-Play. I'm Eddie Brophy.
I'm Jason Smith.
Now, we're going to open the show with one of Jay's picks as opposed to last week when we opened with one of mine, because Jay has a phenomenal pick that actually segues into the pick I went with. So without further ado, if you want to set up this clip.
I will set it up, but I actually have a prop that I brought from home. One of the first wrestling pieces of merchandise I bought, I have with me. Saw WrestleMania 15. Loved it as a kid.
Absolutely. Boston.
So I ran down to the local Coconuts.
Yeah, I was at Stoneham. It was still Coconuts.
Yeah,
it was still Coconuts.
Took my $10 allowance, probably a couple other bucks, and bought WrestleMania 14 right here. This is probably my favorite piece of wrestling, like footage and overall like pay-per-view. I know like there's knocks that some of it can take, but to me, this is like one of the better pay-per-views they've ever done.
Funny enough, that was actually the second piece of wrestling memorabilia. The first one, because one of the first pay-per-views I'd seen on my own as a fan was Backlash 1999, and then my cousin gave that exact video to me because she was setting up, Eddie, this was in Boston, this is Kane Undertaker, this is Austin Michaels Tyson. And again, we could tie this in because they did announce, I believe it's March 12th, Amazon and probably, Newbury Comics, places like that, they are re-releasing all, actually it's WrestleMania, with the exception of 3, it's 1 through 15.
Oh, excellent.
So, I mean, we were discussing earlier, that could be really cool because half the reason we didn't spring for the money to actually purchase the box sets that they release is because now they actually have the ability to show the older footage without blurring everything out.
That was my holding point was, I don't want to have to buy a WrestleMania like 2000 and see the blurred logo.
Absolutely.
I know what it was. We all know what it was. I don't want to have to pay for that. And then the other thing is they package them into like groups of 5 or 6.
Absolutely.
Certain ones I like, certain ones I don't. Now they're all singularly sold, which it's like this is going to be on DVD, the first purchase I'd probably make whenever it comes out. So.
I'll probably go with, probably, again, WrestleMania 8. No idea why, but that's still a personal favorite. When they were at Caesar's Palace. But obviously,
that's WrestleMania 9.
Absolutely. At WrestleMania 13, I will buy specifically for the Hart Austin match. But that will probably be my first because from beginning to end, and again, you got a light heavyweight title match here.
We're not going with the Michaels Austin match. We're not going with Kane, Undertaker. Both phenomenal match. Not the dumpster match.
That was a good one too. Yeah, that was a really good one.
You could go on and on. Aside from the mixed tag match, which was terrible. This is probably one of my I don't know, what cult favorites? What would you call it?
I would probably go cult favorite because it's not a match that's conventionally, loved or popular. It's not like a status quo match. It's a match that you genuinely, if you watch the pay-per-view from beginning to end, you appreciate it because it was a real fucking match.
It's just fun. Like they were coming out of the Battle Royal or whatever, and now they needed to change up the show or the format of the show. Yeah. And this, to me, it is Taka Michinoku and Aguila at the time, and the light heavyweight title match. The only time the WWF or WWE light heavyweight title has been defended on that stage.
Oh, wow.
All right, let's not waste any time.
Let's get right to it.
Let's get right into it.
God, look at that crowd.
It's awesome. Like, I'm so jealous I know people that have been to this event.
Oh, I've met a few people that were at this event.
And I'm so jealous that I came in the year after this.
Well, that was, again, I've always grown up around wrestling. My mother was a fan. Later on, my sister became a fan in the Attitude Era. A little bit before, one of the earlier pay-per-views I remember ordering was Buried Alive in Your House with Mankind and Undertaker. And you had the Triple H Stone Cold match, and that was when Stone Cold was starting to build up as a heel a little bit. And again, like the Generation X, the infamous Rock Austin match where D'Lo lands in the... But, this is just one of those pay-per-views that when you saw it, man, you wish you had been a fan earlier, or you appreciate the RVD sign.
That's the thing. Like, it was such a climate of awesomeness where it's like, let's hate on WCW.
Right.
Let's the cool fans know about ECW. But still, let's honor this product because it's awesome.
Well, because there was a point in time when, certain wrestling organizations were best kept secrets. And the only ones that knew about it were marks.
So this is one of my little favorites. It's not, like you said last week, it's not one of the best matches that's ever been, but it's fun. It's just forgot about, because it's stuck at the front of the card. And
well, you got these two guys, they got a lot of agility. There's a few, there's a botched move right there. But it's two guys, it's different cultures of wrestling. That's the big thing is this pay-per-view from the get-go was sold as the big DX versus Austin, bringing Mike Tyson, the boxer. I mean, and this is before, you know, the Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian, and I mean, you had light heavyweights, and I mentioned to you, I joked with you, and I said I almost walked in here with a Taka Michinoku match, Brian Christopher.
Yeah, another great one. That's the thing that I'm so mad at. I'm weirdly obsessed with the light heavyweight championship. It is such like this forgotten gem that never got the credit it deserved, never was pushed the right way, and every time you thought they were going to go in the direction that it should have,
absolutely,
it fizzled out. Like, I remember watching Sunday Night Heat with this gentleman who came back to the company known as S.A. Rios.
S.A. Rios, yeah.
Also Papi Chulo, but came back with Lita at his arm, beat Gilbert after Gilbert had the belt for, he was walking around independent shows for a good year plus with that belt, and out of nowhere on a Sunday Night Heat, beats him for the belt, and you're like, who the we have a new champion.
That was an exciting time because it was almost as exciting as any time that the WWE or F back then went to England, there was never a title change. I mean, anytime you had like a Sunday Night Heat or a Shotgun Saturday Night or a show in England and the title actually changed, it was a big deal. But it was never usually a title that mattered. It was always maybe a hardcore title, light heavyweight title, but it was still cool because this doesn't conventionally happen. I mean, arguably, some of the best wrestlers in this company over the years have been light heavyweights. I mean, I'm not the world's biggest Rey Mysterio fan, but I can certainly appreciate Rey Mysterio for what he did for the company. Do I think it was a little silly giving him the World Heavyweight title? I get why they did it. I mean, I don't see Rey Mysterio as a credible threat to guys like Batista or Triple H, but I can see why they did it.
Well, there's a funny Shane Helms comment, or Gregory the Hurricane, whatever you want to call him, where at the time he was a Cruiserweight champion, and he's fighting Mysterio, who's the World Heavyweight champion, and Helms has, I don't know, 200 pounds compared to Mysterio.
But he's still, I'm sure he's probably...
and it's like, what are we doing here, guys? Like,
I have to sell this guy, and yet I got 200 pounds on him.
Yeah.
I always appreciate wrestlers like Jericho or whoever who would sell to Mysterio knowing that, like, dude, I could squash this guy. Again, these are not fantastic spots, but some of them do look impressive. And I think that was the issue with a lot of the cruiserweights was... It was just more or less about what moves could they pull off midair.
But it was fun. It was the spots matches where you don't really have this anymore, and it's cool because it's on WrestleMania. It's you have the Japanese style versus the Mexican style. You know,
well, I think what makes it interesting too is that they're giving attention to the different styles of wrestling, whereas at this point in the company, most of your guys were big Triple H types. I mean, you still had someone like Owen Hart. That was a phenomenal match, Owen Hart and Triple H. I mean, obviously, with Sergeant Slaughter and China, it kind of took away from the match a little bit. But these are matches where these aren't big guys. Like, give the little guys credit for what they can do, because we mentioned the show earlier, Brock Lesnar doing the shooting star. He botched the hell out of it. It's impressive to see big guys do that.
It's a WrestleMania moment. They still use it today, regardless that he botched it. So.
I love Jerry Lawler's analogies and how excited he gets commentating about these guys. Again, obviously, it's got its slower moments, but for the most part, this is because if we open with the Battle Royal, obviously, you know, that was
the Legion of Doom return.
Yeah, that was a catalyst for the Legion of Doom to, you know, kind of bring some credibility back to those characters and get them in the tag title race.
And unfortunately, that was the highlight of their return.
Absolutely.
That moment. The whole light heavyweight division, you know, you can't say enough of like how much they botched it. You know, every time they get the ball rolling, they give it to somebody credible. It falls by the wayside, or it became...
Again, it's something I would like to see have a resurgence at Mania, because the last great cruiserweight match I saw was at WrestleMania 20, and it was, I think it was like a six-pack type of style match where it was almost like the hardcore matches. The hardcore matches conventionally were never great matches. But when you got into the melees of hardcore matches with, like, you know, you had Backlash of 2000 where you had, like, or even the match at WrestleMania 2000, phenomenal match where you know, they had a set time for it, and you had all these guys. This guy wins. All right, well, you know, if he can outlast the clock, he'll keep the title. Matches like that are fun matches. They're not necessarily meant to go in the history books as like, this is the greatest match you ever saw, but they're fun matches.
It gets the crowd going.
Absolutely.
It's unpredictable.
I think this is why this was such a memorable WrestleMania, aside from the fact that we live in Boston, was that it was such a stacked card.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you had the personal favorite was the Rock Shamrock match, which I thought that was a tremendous feud, and I wish they had done more with that.
Great move.
And I still find it, the only thing, whenever I think of Taka Michinoku, all I can think of is how he ate shit. And the Rumble match in 2000, going over the top rope, and just like, you're coming off like the Owen Hart fall, and you're just like, oh god, another one. And it's the poor little guy. It's Taka Michinoku.
I'm obsessed with it. I want to find the replica belt and put it on my wall.
I even think that was a good looking title.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's also difficult too to think of guys like X-Pac, who X-Pac should have been a light heavyweight champion from the get-go, but they were really trying to push X-Pac because he was a great technician in the ring. They were really trying to push him with guys like Kane, the bigger guys, the kind of odd couple type scenarios, and, you know, his match with The Rock for the, and you actually, for a moment, you thought he had a shot at winning the WWF title.
Cool thing about X-Pac, actually, fun fact, he is the only person to win the light heavyweight, the cruiserweight, and the X Division title.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
That's cool little
factoid.
Yeah, little factoid for you. We're not, you know, but so yeah, one of my favorites.
No, you know. And it segues right into mine, as I said before. Obviously, there was a contender from that match that's going to be in the match that I plan to show. So
excellent. So we'll take it out. I'm Jason Smith.
I'm Eddie Brody, so you don't have to be.